Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Liaquat. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. We are going through Mukhtasar al-Qudoori. If you guys are not familiar with my channel or the work that I do, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check out the videos and leave a comment as well. Okay, let's crack on with this then. So let's explain these words. This is a new chapter called Bab al-Riba. Right, so riba, this means something which is excess. Yeah, so extra, excess, we call it riba in Arabic. And this obviously refers to something which is what we call interest, usury. Riba, muharram. Muharram means it's impermissible. So this is considered to be haram. Okay, so haram. في كل مكيل أو موزون. Let me just make this writing a bit bigger so you guys can see it. في كل مكيل. Makil means something measure. And موزون is weighed. إذا بيئ بجنسه, jins means the same genus. And متفاضلا means in excess. فالعلة, the legal cause, فيه الكيل, كيل is from the makil, jins, we done that, والوزن, okay, this is actually mistake, this is not supposed to be this, I apologize for that. أو الوزن مع الجنس, وزن means weight. فإذا بيئ المكيل أو الموزون بجنسه مثلا بمثل, so مثل means similar. جاز البيع وإن تفاضل is dual times 2. تفاضل means excess, extra. لم يجوز. ولا يجوز بيع الجيد, so بيع الجيد, good premium quality, بالرديء with low quality. مما فيه الربا مثلا بمثل. فإذا عدم, it means to be absent. إذا عدم الوصفان الجنس والمعنى المضموم, مضموم means something which is added or joined together. حل from the word ضم يضم. حل, it means halal, right, so permitted, to permit. تفاضل is excess within that. نساء, it means deferred, so to delay. وإذا وجد, both found. حرم التفاضل والنساء, so تفاضل and نساء are both considered to be haram. So حرم. وإذا وجد أحدهما, okay, تفاضل وجد means to be found. Let's just bring this a bit up. وكل شيء نص, so نص explicitly mentioned. Yeah, so explicitly mentioned. Okay, explicitly mentioned. رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على تحريم التفاضل فيه كيلا فهو مكيل أبدا forever. ترك الناس الكيل فيه مثل حنطة شعير. حنطة is wheat, شعير is barley, تمر, we done all these words before anyway. ملح is salt. كل ما نص ينص على تحريم التفاضل فيه وزنا فهو موزون أبدا مثل ذهب, all these words, okay, that's fine. محمول is going to be treated or carried. عادات means the habits. الناس. Okay, there you go. Alright, so let's have a go at the tarkeeb part then now. So time for tarkeeb. Okay, so babu riba. Now the vowel is not going to be shown here. It should be a kasra, but because of the alif, the vowel is not shown. So this is هذا babu riba. الربا, this is mubtada. You can't see the vowel. محرم. Okay, so this is the khabar. في كل مكيل أو موزون إذا بيع, so بيع is مجهول, بجنسه متفاضلا is حال, متفاضلا. فالعلة مبتدا, it's a new sentence. فيه الكيل خبر مع الجنس. Now this jins obviously, this is extra wording. أو الوزن مع الجنس. فإذا بيع so بيع مجهول باع يبيع المكيل أو الموزون بجنسه مثلا بمثل okay, 1 second, yeah. Let's bring this a bit up. It's easier for me to write. مثل بمثل مثلا بمثل جاز البيع وإن تفاضلا. This is dual, okay, times 2. لم يجوز ولا يجوز بيع استفاعل الجيد جيد بالرديء جار مجرور مما فيه الربا إلا مثلا بمثل. فإذا عدم الوصفان okay, that's the وصفان وصفاني no وصفان وصفاني times 2. So this is the file. الجنس, this is the بدل. والمعنى, that's like موسى, okay, اسم مقصور. المضموم إليه حل التفاضل فعل plus the file. والنساء عطف. وإذا وجد حرم التفاضل فاعل. والنساء وإذا وجد أحدهما وعدم الآخر حل التفاضل وحرم النساء. كل مضاف شيء نص رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على تحريم التفاضل فيه كيلا فهو مكيل أبدا. وإن ترك الناس الكيل فيه مثل الحنطة والشعير والتمر والملح. وكل ما نص على تحريم التفاضل فيه وزنا فهو موزون متخبر أبدا. okay. مثل الذهب مثل الذهب والفضة ما لم ينص عليه فهو محمول خبر supposed to be محمول على supposed to be apologize على عادات الناس. So it's جار مجرور على عادات الناس. So you can add that in. Sometimes these the text I actually get this text from a website called Turath, and there's lots of mistakes unfortunately in the text because they haven't really edited it properly. Okay, so let's have a go at explaining this then. So what is happening over here? So basically what this masla is talking about is, this masla is talking about something called riba. All right, riba is where when you sell something to someone else, there has to be a balance, like, you know, like an equation, right? If you have an equation where you have, for example, 1 plus 5 equals 6, yeah? So notice on both sides of the equation, it has to be a balance. So 1 plus 5 equals 6, 6 equals 1 plus 5. This is the balance that you have to have when you are selling anything. So wherever you sell, right, when there's two sides, there has to be this. Yeah. So for example, let's say this is the seller and this is the buyer. Both sides, they have to have the same amount. I mean, as in not amount, but the same kind of equality. So let's say this guy is selling a laptop. So if this guy is selling a laptop to this guy for cash, right? So he's selling it for £500. Laptop gives him that. We would say, according to them two, the 500 equals a laptop, right? And that's fair. You can put any price you want, but according to them two, they've agreed that there's a balance between this, and they're happy with it. Maybe if he sold it to someone else, he might have sold it more expensive or less. That's up to him. But there's a balance there. However, if on the two sides there is something which is a riba item, so for example, let's say there's cash, yeah, so cash, yeah, so let's say £500 on this side for cash, right, £600 on this side. That is not permitted, that is, because it is not equal. 500 clearly we can tell, even if they both agree, that agreement is not considered valid according to the Sharia, because the 500 is clearly less than 600. You can't see the difference between the 500 here and the laptop here, but you can see it in cash because the genus is the same. We call this genus. Yeah, it's cash for cash. That's the genus that is. So this is Riba, this is. This is considered to be riba, right? So riba. Now, that's basically what this whole lesson is going to be about, is trying to find the balance between two things. So generally the word riba, let me just explain a bit about riba here. So riba is of two types usually. You have riba al-fadl, which is surplus, which is what we're going to be looking at today. And you have riba al-nasi, which is deferred riba. Yeah. So to defer something. Yeah. So deferred riba and surplus riba. Yeah. Credit riba, you can say. Surplus riba. What is deferred riba? A deferred riba is basically where a person has. Actually, one second, I made a mistake in the spelling. Deferred. Apologies, guys. All right, let's do this again then. Deferred. Okay, so that's deferred. So deferred riba is basically, let's say there's two guys. Yeah, there's two guys, and let's say this guy, he wants to borrow money, right? So he says, "Can I borrow £100?" And he says, "Okay, you can borrow £100, but he says you have to give me back £150 back. You got to give me. So therefore, that is 100 plus 50, right? That extra 50 is called deferred riba. That's not allowed. You're charging someone for some extra. All right. So that is not what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at surplus riba, which is this one over here. Yeah, where you have two sides and they're not equal. Okay, so let's have a look at this then. So because this surplus riba can only be something that can be tangible, it can only be tangible, measured, if it's something which can be seen. So that's why they say this can only be done in ways that can be measured. So therefore, if on both sides, right, both sides, you have something that is measured and you have something that is measured. So measure. Yeah, like for example, you have 5 cups of wheat equals 5 cups of wheat. Okay, so 5 cups of wheat equals 5 cups of wheat. That's something that's tangible, just like cash can be counted. Right, cash can be counted. These kind of things can be measured, right? Or weight, or the other option is weight. So weight is another way that you can be exact in something. Okay, so you can be precise. Weight. So for example, like 5 kilos kg of silver for 5 kg of silver. Okay, so that's something, that's where you can't sell. You're not allowed to sell. Like for example, 6, you can't say 6 cups of wheat for 5 cups of wheat for 6 cups of wheat, or 5 kilos for 6 kilos. That's clearly excess on one side, and that's not allowed. That's imbalance, that is. Right, so you can't do that. Where do we get all this from? So actually, we get all this from a hadith. There is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ, he actually said in this hadith, he said, don't sell. He said, don't sell. Yeah, 6 items he mentioned. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 6 items that he mentioned. What are the 6 items that he mentioned? So he said, do not sell wheat for wheat. Yeah, so wheat, let's go wheat versus wheat. And barley versus barley. And dates versus dates. And salt versus salt. And gold versus gold. And silver versus silver. Yeah, so he said, do not sell wheat for wheat, barley for barley, dates for dates, silver for silver, salt for salt, gold for gold, silver for silver, unless they are exactly the same amount. They have to be exactly the same. Yeah, so these items over here, these items are items that are measured. You measure them in cups, normally in them days, Arabs' days. Yeah, and these items are weighed. Yeah, gold and silver are weighed. So he said, if you're going to sell these items, make sure you sell them exactly the same. If you're going to sell gold and silver, make sure they're exactly the same. That's why the Hanafi say, because of this hadith, the Hanafi say that the legal cause inside of riba, like the legal thing that kind of determines to us all of this, is weight and measure. Yeah, so measure and weight, and they have to be the same genus. Yeah, like we said, wheat and wheat, barley, etc. So therefore, if you were to sell two things that are not weighed or not measured, and they're not the same, then the rules of riba don't technically apply to them. So let's have a look at this then. So he says, Babu Riba. This is the chapter of riba. Riba muharramun. Riba is haram. Fi kulli makilin, in every measured thing, or in every weighed thing. Idha bi'a, when it is sold, bi jinsihi, in exchange for its similar genus. Mutafadilan, in excess on one side. Yeah, so like over here, like we said, cash and cash. Yeah, so pounds are the same genus, right? And it's sold. One side is mutafadil, one side is more. Yeah, £100 extra there. So that is considered to be haram, not allowed. But if it was something else, if it was cash for a laptop, like over here, then there's no riba in this, right? There is no riba in this because the genus is not the same and it's not weighed and measured, so it can't be like exactly precisely measured. So he says, فَالْإِلَّةُ, he says, then the legal cause in these things is kail, is a measure, ma'al jins, with genus, right? So measure with genus, or al-wazn ma'al jins, or weight with genus, right? So like I said to you, I gave some examples over here, and I said, this is the measure one, and this is the weight one, right? So 5 kilos of silver for 5 kilos of silver, right? فَإِذَا بِيئَ al-makil, if a makil item, meaning if a measured item in cups, you could say cups, an item measured in cups, if it is sold, or when it is sold, or a mawzoon item, a weighed item is sold, bijinsihi, in exchange for its same genus, mithlan bi mithlin, similar for similar, right? So similar for similar, like we said over here, 5 cups for 5 cups, 5 kilos for 5 kilos. Jaz al-bay'u, then that transaction will be jaiz, right? Totally jaiz. However, وَإِن تَفَاضَلَا لَمْ يَجُزْ, if there is excess on one side, yeah, so if it's uneven, then it's not allowed, like we had over here, 500 for 600. That is not allowed. Does everyone understand that? So basically, what I want you guys to get is that this type of contract is allowed so long as both sides are equal. And if one side is unequal, then you can't do that. And the only way the Hanafis say you can determine inequality is by having these two factors there. One is that both sides have to either be measured, both sides have to be weighed, and the genus has to be the same. So like if you're selling, what if it's uneven? Then the rules of riba are going to be different. Okay, next. وَلَا يَجُوزُ, and it's not permissible to sell al-jayyid bil-radi, high quality for low quality. So let's say I had 5 cups of high quality wheat, yeah, for 5 cups of low quality wheat. Then I have to be equal in that as well. Yeah, so I have really premium quality wheat in exchange for low quality. It has to be equal. You can't say, oh, but this is low quality. 2 cups of the low quality is equal to 1 cup of the high quality. No, because it's still wheat. Wheat is wheat, right? So whether it's high quality, low quality. So he says, la yajuzu, is not permitted to sell good quality for low quality, mimma fihi riba, in those items that are ribawi items, in items that are considered to be based on riba, illa mithlan bi mithlin, unless they are exactly the same. And this is because of a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, the good quality and the low quality are the same. Jayyiduha wa radi'uha sawa. Okay, what if one of these points is missing? Remember we mentioned about makil and mawzoon and genus, right? So technically we have, let's say, if we were to write this down, we have, you can almost say, 2 things that have to be met. The first, we call it qadr. Qadr means it's something that is tangible. Yeah, it's weighed or measured. So basically one word to that now. So weighed or measured is going to come under qadr now. So it's something which comes under qadr and the same genus. Yeah, so the same genus over here. So these are the 2 things that we want to look for. If a transaction on both sides uses the same measure, and both items are the same genus, that's where riba is going to apply. That's why he says, إِذَا عَدِمَ الْوَصْفَانِ, when the two wasafs, qadar is one wasaf, one description, and the second one is jins. He says, when these two are absent, meaning al-jins, which is this one, and al-ma'na al-madhmumu ilayhi, and the other meaning that's added to it. What's the other meaning that's added to it? Qadar. Yeah, so measure and weigh. When the jins is not there and the meaning that's added to it, that is just a fancy way of saying jins and mawzoon, jins and makil. If both of them are absent, like for example, let's say you're selling, money for laptop, right? So both are absent there. There's nothing weighed in that situation, right? This guy does not weigh anything. This guy does not weigh anything, and there's the genus is different. Cash is different from a laptop. Halla tafadul, then it's halal to sell in excess, and nasa is also is allowed. What is nasa? Nasa is basically deferred payment. So deferred payments, these are something which is not allowed in these transactions, meaning both items have to be handed over in the gathering at the same time, right? So how does that work then? So let's have a look at this. So look, let's say for example, like there's this guy, he's called the buyer, Mr. B, and this is Mr. S, seller. So they both are selling, let's say 10 cups of dates. They used to sell dates in cups in the olden days. 10 cups of dates for 10 cups of dates. Okay, is that allowed? We'll say, okay, the genus over here is dates for dates, and because they're sold in cups, the qadr is there as well. The ma'na al-madmum ilayh is there. And is that equal? Of course, there's clear inequality between the two. But if B says, can I give you tomorrow? Can I give you the 10 cups tomorrow? Yeah, I'm going to give you tomorrow and you give me today. That is not allowed. That is called nasa. This guy is deferring it, so it's uneven. So it has to be even, physically it has to be even, and time-wise it has to be even as well, you can say. So equality, so it has to be equal physically, and it has to be equal in time as well. So time-wise, they have to give it at the same time. It can't be a delay in one side. That's why it's known as nasa, not nisa. Okay, nisa means women. Right, this is not talking about women, it's talking about this. All right, so this is why equal physically, time. So he says, if obviously the two items are different, then nasa is even allowed. وَإِذَا وُجِدَ, and when both things are found. What does it mean both things are found? Both things are found means that both sides, the qadar is found and jins is found. حَرُمَ التَّفَاضُل, then selling in excess on one side is haram, and also nasa is haram as well. Nasa meaning deferred payment. وَإِذَا وُجِدَ, but what if one of them is found? أَحَدُهُمَا وَعَدِمَ الْآخَرِ. So this is the third scenario now. One of them is found, like qadar is found and jins is not found, or jins is found and qadar is not found. Then حَلَّ التَّفَاضُل, tafadul is allowed, excess is allowed, but nasa is still not allowed. You can't pay in deferred payments. Yeah. So what kind of example is this? So for instance, like we can break this down to 3 scenarios. Yeah, let's break it down 3 scenarios. So 3 scenarios. Number 1, so it's in qadr. So I'm going to put Q for qadr. Okay, meaning amount is the same. Qadr is same. Actually, let me just put this over here. Qadr and jins. Okay, 2, 3. So the first scenario, the qadr is the same and the jins is the same. Yeah, in that case, it's haram to sell, right? So you can't do, so P, I'll just put P and T. Physically has to be given at the same time, and yeah. And the second scenario is the qadr is not the same and the jins is not the same, like selling the laptop for cash. In that case, it's totally allowed, however you want to sell it. And the third scenario is one of the two. So either qadr is the same and jins is not the same, or qadr is not the same and jins is the same. Yeah. So for example, like qadr is the same. 2 things are weighed, but they're 2 different items. Yeah. So for instance, let's say So both of the qadr is the same. So a person is selling, let's say, apples, and the jins is different. Apples versus oranges. Genus is different, but they're both measured in the same way. Okay, they're both weighed or in the same way. So if it's apples versus oranges, then you only have one item, which is the qadr is there, but the jins is not there. And if the qadr is not there, but the jins is there. So for example, like let's say a person is selling one, I don't know. So let's say, for example, you're selling, I don't know, some specific type of cloth. Let's say you're selling Japanese cloth versus Japanese cloth. So the qadr, obviously Japanese cloth is not measured in weight or in cups, but they are the same genus. So if you sell Japanese cloth for Japanese cloth, then over here you are going to have to, when it comes to time, you are going to have to give the items at the same time. You can sell as much as you like. You can sell 1 meter of Japanese cloth for 10 meters of Japanese cloth. That's fine. So you can have fluctuation in that, but you have to give it at the same time. Okay, so that's the three scenarios that is. The first one is that physically they have to be the same and time-wise the same. And the second one is none have to be the same. And the third one is only time has to be the same, right? They have to hand it over in the same gathering. So you think about any scenario in your time today, like for example, if you're selling a particular book for another book, you can sell one book for 10 books, but if you can exchange it, then you should give it there and then. It should be exchanged. If it's the same book, okay. If it's another book, if it's a different type of book, then that's different. Likewise, when it comes to other items that you wanna sell as well. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and that's what the author is talking about over here. So he says, إذا وجد. So when it is found, إذا وجد, both حرم التفاضل والنساء. تفاضل والنساء are both haram. And وإذا وجد أحدهما, if one of them is found, وعدم الآخر, and the other one is not found, حل التفاضل وحرم النساء. Nasa is not allowed. All right. وكل شيء نص رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على التحريم التفاضل فيه كيلا فهو مكيل أبدا. So every single thing that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم has explicitly mentioned about it being haram, that tafadul in it is haram, excess in it is haram, then that thing will be treated as kale if it was kale in the time of the Sahaba forever. So what kind of things were considered to be kale? So I told you the things that were kale, for example, like wheat, barley. Those are the 6 things. Dates and salt. They used to sell these by measure. Right? So they were like basically cups of these is sell. So everything in the time of the Prophet ﷺ that is like this, then you have to sell it in this fashion. Wheat for wheat, barley for barley in cups. If you were to sell it in weight, so for example 2 kilos of Egyptian wheat for 2 kilos of Pakistani wheat, that is not allowed, because maybe the wheat in Pakistan is heavier. This could be heavier, or this could be larger, rather. The weight is the same, but this could be larger in grain size. And that means even though the weight is the same, but if you try to fill a cup with these two, maybe this would only fill half the cup, and this one would fill, because the grains are larger, would greater size. So that's why anything that was considered to be measured in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, if you want to sell it today in exchange for each other, then you're going to have to measure it in cups. And وَإِن تَرَكَ, even if the people stop dealing in cups, like for example, wheat, barley, tamar, and milk and salt. So if people stop dealing it in cups and start using weights, as a Muslim, you have to just bear this in mind. Make sure that if you were to put it into cups, it would work out the same way. وَكُلُّ مَا نَصَّ, and everything the Prophet ﷺ explicitly mentioned, تَحْرِيمُ التَّفَاضُلِ, in it, the prohibition of excess in it, waznan, with regards to weight, فَهُوَ مَوْزُونٌ, and this thing will be counted as weighed, abadan, forever. So the same thing, but with weighed items. So for example, like gold and silver. Gold and silver are considered to be things that are weighed. Yeah, it's supposed to be a weighing scale there. Yeah, they're weighed. So that's going to be weighed. So therefore, if someone wants to sell gold in cups, someone said, okay, I'm going to sell you 1 cup of gold for 1 cup of gold. So in cup wise, they might be equal, but in weight wise, they might be different, because different types of gold have different, obviously, alloys mixed with it. So cup wise it's the same, but weight wise, this might be heavy and this one might be lighter. Right, so this is why he says that if the Prophet ﷺ, he explicitly mentioned about weight in his time, you have to stick to that. مثل الذهب والفضة ما لم ينص عليه, and anything the Prophet ﷺ has not mentioned, فهو محمول, this is treated upon the adat of the people, the habits of the people. Like rice, he didn't mention anything about how rice was dealt with in the time of Sahaba. That's why if you want to sell rice by like wheat, then it's fine. If you want to sell it like gold and weight, it's fine. Yeah, you leave it like that. Okay, and that's it, guys. I hope this lesson was beneficial to you guys. I hope you guys benefit from this. So, okay, there's some questions for you guys before we go. What is riba? Riba is excess on one side. And how many types are there? So there is surplus riba and there is deferred riba. And where did the Hanafis get this whole description of riba? They get it from the famous hadith of 6 things. Yeah, the wheat for wheat, barley for barley, date for date, salt for salt, gold for gold, silver for silver. And from there, they've taken out measured and weighed things. What's the legal cause for why something has riba in there? So 2 things Hanafi say, qadr and jins. So if qadr and jins is there, then there's riba, and if qadr and jins is not there, then there isn't. And what about good quality for bad quality? Can you sell more of the bad quality for good quality? No, you can't. It has to be equal. Okay, what if the 2 things are absent? Then there's no riba. What if only one of them is absent? Then there is riba with regards to time, meaning you have to hand over the items at the same time. Okay, all those things the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in his time that were measured, do we still have to treat them as measured? Yes. And all those things the Prophet ﷺ mentioned as being weighed, do we have to treat them as being weighed? Yes. And what about those things he hasn't mentioned, like rice? Then those you can deal with it as you like. Okay, Jazakumullah khair, guys. I hope you guys benefit from this lesson. I really enjoyed it, as you guys can tell from my nice voice, yeah, which is a bit of a croaky voice. I will see you guys next time. And thank you to my patrons, by the way, for all the beautiful support you guys show. It means so much to me, honestly. If any of you guys want to become patrons, you want to support my channel, please consider it. It means a lot to me. It helps me a lot with the work I do. And share my videos with others as well. And details are in the description below. I will see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.